Hey everyone, how are you doing tonight? It's Wednesday, you know what that means. It's Wednesday, also known as Hump Day, if that's a thing that you do. I just like to call it Wednesday because my kids giggle otherwise, and then they call me old. I don't get that. But Wednesday it is, and it is 7 o'clock, and I don't know if you know what that means, but if you're here watching along, then you probably do. That means you get at least the next 30 minutes of awesomeness here with me. So, I don't know if you're nearly as excited about that as I am, but I definitely am. And today's project that I'm going to show you is, I call them, and most people call them, split letter monograms, but the key to that is that you can use this process on anything. It does not have to be letters. It does not have to be monograms. Let me see if I can show you. I downloaded some examples. Oh, here they are. This was just quick and easy off Google in case you guys don't know what split letter monograms are. Okay, so there we go. Basically, for a traditional split letter monogram, you're looking at, sorry, my chair's a little squeaky today. You're looking at a letter, usually last name, and then you slice it and you type the name in the middle. Now, there are some really good split letter monogram fonts already available. Like if you can see these are already done and you can purchase them. And that's okay if that's what you want to do, because what we're going to focus on is not all these pretty swirly parts. We're going to focus on the process, and then we're going to focus on doing this for other shapes also. So I'll be the first to say, you know, with the swirly part, unless you're just really good at doing that by hand, I definitely am not. So I have not mastered that part of it yet, and I would probably just purchase the letter. But for those of you just starting out, number one, this is really good to learn in your software. And number two, like I said, you can do it like this M right here. We could totally knock that out in less than 5 minutes. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. I am going to show you a traditional letter. We'll use an M. And when I do, because I don't have all these swirly, nice, pretty things that accompany my letters, I do try to pick a font that is kind of bold. That one's okay. That one's not. I'll go to my tried and true milkshake. Okay. Kind of bold, but also kind of pretty. And on this one in particular, I'm going to stretch it out just because, like, I don't want this whole thing covered up by my monogram or my name that I'm going to put through the middle. Okay. So first and foremost, we are going to go ahead and convert to path. That is because, did you see what happened? We went from this big old wide box here. And when I do convert to path, all I did was I right-clicked on it, convert to path, and it gives me the true size of the text. That means when I come over here and I hit center to page, well, maybe it was already there, but oh, there we go. It will actually center to page and not take into account that great big old box. The next thing we're going to get familiar with is right here. This is your draw a rectangle. Now, I only like to point this stuff out because people ask me all the time what I use my crosshairs for. In case you don't know, crosshairs are the little gray lines that follow my cursor around. This is a prime example. I can line up the crosshair down here with the edge of my letter, and I can draw my rectangle, and I will come over here and line it up with this side of my letter. Just quick and easy. I mean, like a piece of cake. It's not going to get any easier than that. So that's an example of what I use my crosshairs for. I'm also going to center to page right there. So see how it moved just a little bit. All right. Here comes the tricky part. And by tricky part, I just mean I want you to focus and pay attention. Okay. Now, I use some shortcuts here because it's way easier. I click on my rectangle, all right? So if you're trying to follow along, pause what you're doing and focus on what I'm doing. Okay. Click on my rectangle, and I'm going to use Control Up on my keyboard. That gives me a duplicate. If you're on a Mac, you're going to do Command and Up. When I say up, I'm talking about the directional arrows on your keyboard, okay? And then I'm going to squeeze this down. I don't want it to be thick, but I also don't want it to be too thin. Okay, so let's look at what we have. Rectangle number 1, our primary rectangle. Rectangle number 2, the same width, but we've squeezed it down to where it is narrower. Okay, I clicked on it. See how it lit up with my box. And I'm once again just going to use my directional keys. I just want to bring that down to where it straddles my first rectangle. Okay, is everybody following along? All right, I'm now straddling my first rectangle. Once again, I'm going to duplicate. I hit Control and down on my keyboard, and I'm using my directional arrows. Okay, the reason I'm doing this is because I'm lazy and I don't want to have to line that up again. So if I duplicate just below it and use my keyboard, okay, then I can just slide it down into place. See how I moved it down just far enough to where I'm straddling the other side of it? Let me thicken this. I'm going to change this line color to blue. Blue, that is our original rectangle. These two here are the two rectangles that we just created. I promise this will make sense in a minute. Okay. I'm going to zoom out just a little so you can see the full picture. Letter, 3 rectangles. All right. Now, if you don't know what a drag box is, that is when I hold down my mouse key and I get this little slowly moving dotted line box. As soon as I let go of my mouse key, it stops, right? Okay. So I'm going to hold down my drag box, and you notice look where my cursor is. I'm going to drag it in. Now I've only touched the blue rectangle. I have not touched the other two. The other two are not selected. And then I'm going to select my letter. Still, I have not touched the other 2 rectangles. Okay. I've selected those 2. I'm going to open my Modify panel and choose Subtract. Okay. Now, I can delete the insides of this letter, the ones that I don't need. I'm not quite sure. Usually what should have happened is those pieces should have subtracted out with the box. It has to do with my settings because I thickened up that line. So this is what you will have. You subtract out the box, you have successfully split your letter, and you still have your 2 rectangles. Now, I know you keep asking me, Becky, what is the deal with these rectangles? Just select everything. You want to select it all. We're selecting everything now. Right click and weld. Boom. Did you see what happened? Okay. That is how I get the borders to my split letter monogram. Okay. Now, let's pause right here because some people will tell you that that was the hard way to do it. I don't want to say they're lying to you. Yes, that almost left my mouth. I didn't mean it like they're misleading you. Okay. They probably do not know either, and that's okay. I'm going to show you what some people do, and if I ever see any of you do this, I will slap you on the wrist. I'm going to create another one. I'm going to use the same font so that we are comparing apples to apples. Milkshake. I'm going to stretch it out just like the first one. Looks pretty similar, right? Okay. Black. We'll go ahead and change the, no, I won't change the line color. I said we're going to compare apples to apples. I actually think this one is stretched out a little bit more. Okay. What some people will do, go away, I don't want that. They will grab their knife and they will come over here and they will say, I'm going to split this letter. And they will proceed to cut their letter through the middle. And then it's easy to be like, oh, look, I have a split monogram. I think I cut that crooked. No, it just looks crooked. Anyway. And then they will, well, I'd have to regroup these. Split their letter just like this. And it's terrible. Terrible, terrible. Oh, went up too far, sorry. I forget it slows down my computer when I'm streaming. All right. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I have seen more terrible things in my life, but I've even seen people sell designs like this. Okay, and what you're doing is you've distorted the natural shape of your letter. Well, that didn't work. Group. Okay, so that even if you get it back into shape, you don't have the actual flow of where your letter should pick up on the other side. This is really obvious in letters like S. S's look really weird when they do this. And probably a letter like F or E wouldn't be so bad. A looks really funny when you do this. So I'm just showing you what not to do because I care, because deep on the inside, I want you guys to have really pretty projects, and I don't want you to, make a common mistake. It's easy to make. You think the knife tool is there to help you. Normally it is. In this case, this is not helpful to you because this is not what you should do. Okay, we're gonna delete that. I'm gonna stop talking about that. All right. So then with my split letter monogram, I would just type out Madison. I always forget that I use her name so much in here, and when I see people in person, they're like, oh, how's Madison? And I'm like, how do you know her name? Duh, of course that's how you know her name. So then I just put it right here in the middle. So reasons why you would want to do a split letter monogram, because I don't like her monogram. And, that's my fault, not hers. So I don't hold it against her very often, but I just prefer to do this. That is the curse of, having what I would call a bland letter for your monogram. Her, not just her, our last name starts with a D. It's Dykes. And there's just not a lot of pretty script D's to use. So we just settle for the first name and we make it work because we can do neat stuff like this. All right. So let's talk about doing this with shapes. Now, if you joined me for the Cricut tutorial, I told you how popular I thought back to school was going to be this year. Okay, I really do, because there are so many of us parents that are absolutely nutso that there's not enough wine in the world to make me want to homeschool my children anymore. So those of you who do that by choice, I definitely give you a big round of applause, because that is not for me. And don't get me wrong, I really loved Madison's teacher anyway. She was a really great teacher. But, I just appreciate her that much more knowing what she goes through. I know what I went through with 3 kids, still going through with 3 kids. I cannot imagine a classroom full of kids. Okay, I thought once upon a time, here, let me be working while I bore you to death with my stories. I'm going to bring in some clip art to play with. But, you know, once upon a time, I really thought that I wanted to be a teacher, and that is a big fat negative because I learned that I don't actually like kids. So that was a pretty big factor. We're going to do an apple. We are going to do, oh yeah, we did these pencils. Now, guys, I do want to say I am guilty that I grabbed this from Google real quick just to use for the video. But if you are going to be using clip art from the internet, please make sure that you're getting commercial usage rights. All right, we don't want to be stealing clip art and, you know, be doing it the illegal way. So I know Silhouette makes it easy because we can trace just about anything, but, you know, don't do it. Don't do it. All right, so I'm going to trace this clip art real quick. Let me see. And I'm not worrying too much about quality because, you know, quite frankly, when the video's over, I'm going to delete all this stuff anyway. So I'm just going to do a real quick trace. But for the most part, since I had black and white clip art, it should come out pretty good. Okay. Fill all these in with black so that they're easier for you to see. Okay, you know what? While this fills in, I am going to go ahead and check on comments. Ooh, let's go. Yes, Peggy, if they do not go back in the fall, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't do this again. It's stressing me out just to think about it. They have to go back. Otherwise, I will be at the school either way. All right, so I'm going to start with the football. It's easy. We're coming up on football season. I'll group those together. Otherwise, I'll get lost. All right. Football. So literally the exact same thing. I'm going to draw a rectangle. I'm going to go through these a little faster because I don't want to bore you. But I'm using my little guideline there. Okay. Crosshair. On the football, I'm going to make it a little bit longer. I don't want it to look weird. All right. Center. All right. So I'm going to create my duplicate. Squeeze it down. Down, down, down. Create a copy. Down, down, down. Okay. Come in from the side and subtract. See, it worked correctly that time because I didn't thicken up the line. And we will weld. And go ahead and group. And we will say, let's see if I can remember. Go Chiefs, right? Any Chiefs fans? I'm not personally, but I did receive some criticism in Monday's video that I did not put the right name in there. So I just thought maybe I would be a good sport about it so that I don't get grouched at again. Just kidding. There we go. Just kidding, Peggy. We love you. I hope I remember the right team name. All right. Group that together. So that's a football. So piece of cake, right? Let's see. Let's do the apple next. And the apple, again, I'll go a little bit on the outside. Now, here, watch what happens when I center this. Because of the leaf up here, it ends up really high. So I go a little farther down because I actually want to split the apple, the body of the apple. Squeeze it down. Did you know, just a little side tip, if you hold down your shift key while you're using your arrow, your object will take bigger jumps. So if you think, why is Becky's moving faster than mine moves? Well, it's because I'm holding down my shift key. And subtract. It's just like magic. And weld. And group. All right. And because I love her teacher so much, we are going to say Miss Wilson. Miss Wilson and I are also Ray Dunn buddies. I don't know if she knows that. She made the mistake of displaying some Ray Dunn in her classroom whenever we went for like the orientation. So instantly I just knew that her and I were going to be besties, but she's probably like 12 years younger than me, so she probably did not reciprocate that feeling to being friends with an oldie. She didn't actually say that, though. I made that all up in my head. Okay. Oh, good, Peggy. I'm glad I got that right. All right, just had to peek at the comments there. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you something pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool, so hopefully you'll think it's pretty cool too. I'm going to rotate this. Now, I did not rotate it a full 45 degrees because then it looks like an X. I don't actually want an X. I just want a pretty cute design. And then to create my duplicate, you guys remember how to create a duplicate? Control left arrow or right arrow or whatever. Control and any arrow will give you duplicate. Flip horizontally. I'm going to center these to each other. Okay. Surprisingly, this also makes a really cool monogram frame. You know what? I'll show you guys that too. We'll create another duplicate. All right. But you're getting a twofer tonight. Twofer Wednesday. Darn it. Too bad it's not Tuesday, right? All right. I'm going to weld these together. And get my rectangle. I made that one a little skinnier because I do want to be able to see my pencils. It was a little bigger. All right. So then duplicate, squish it down. Did I explain why I do this with the rectangles? I probably didn't. I do this so that the rectangles are in place after I subtract. That way I don't have to worry about when I go to weld all of these together that I end up with a gap between my shapes. So let me tell you about that real quick. I'll show you. Oops. There we go. Subtract. So see how I end up with a really good overlap where the pencils and my rectangle have a really good strong layer of overlapping here? That's why I do it to where the rectangles straddle that first rectangle, because that way I don't have to worry about, if they were butting right up against each other, sometimes you can get that gap where it doesn't weld all the way. I don't like to play those games with silhouette. I'm too old for that nonsense, so I just go ahead and make them overlap from the beginning. All right, so there is our pencils. Now, I went with the pencils because I felt like, maybe teachers get tired of apples. I don't know if that's actually true. And for some reason, I also associate apples with female teachers. And, that's probably a little stereotypical of me. I don't mean to do that if there's any male teachers listening, but I just do. So when I do gifts for male teachers, you guys get the pencils. So there we go. And those are the 4 types of split layer monograms that you can do. I mean, obviously there's way more than 4 types, but those are the 4 types that we're going to do today for our examples. And they are so much fun, super easy once you get the hang of it. Don't let it intimidate you. All right, there we go. Split layer monograms. Now, I'm going to pause. I'm going to look for questions real quick. All right, we're doing good. You guys are still hanging in. Don't forget, if you have questions, post them in the comments. All right, let's talk about this guy real quick, because this is also pretty cool. I'm going to start over with just one, and I'll show you why. Let's do rotate, and we do want, let's see, we're going to go back to 0, and I am going to rotate him 45 degrees. Create a duplicate, flip, center, and center to page. All right. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. I'm going to draw a circle this time. Also, if you didn't know, you can hold down your Shift key to get your perfect circle. If I center to page, let's see how we like that. No, it needs to be a little bigger. Little bigger. Here, let me zoom in on that so you guys can see better. Boom, there we go. All right, so we're going to do the same thing, but instead of drawing a rectangle, we are going to use our offset. So we're going to do one offset. Okay, hit apply. And then, did you notice I clicked off over here to the right, and then I'm going to click back on my middle circle, and then I'm going to do an internal offset. And I can make that one a little smaller because I don't want my line so thick. That'll make sense in a minute though. All right, apply. Okay, now I am going to go ahead and weld these together. So use my drag box, selected those 2 and welded. Okay. And then let's zoom in here. I'm clicking on my middle circle. The middle one. Not the outside ones, the middle one. I'm going to hold down my Shift key. I'm going to select my pencils. Okay. Now watch what happens. I'm going to come back to the Modify panel and subtract. Boom. Okay. Now why is that important? That is important because now I can select my 2 circles. They're already in place. I'm going to make a compound path just on the circles, not on the pencil. Make a compound path just on the circles, and then I will select everything and right-click and weld. There we go. Now we have a monogram frame. Isn't that cute? So now, let's see, do I have anything up here? No. Oh, there we go. I knew I was working on some monograms earlier. Let's come back over here. All right. So now I can put in my monogram right there in the middle, and it's so cute. Oh, whoops. There we go. So, I mean, you get some pencils. You can do multiple designs with them. I don't think men really care for monograms that much, but, you know, maybe you'll look out and get a really awesome female teacher. But I'll be honest with you, sometimes I think the male teachers are better. Did I say that out loud? Sorry. Anyways. All right. Scrolling back for comments. All right, we're still good. Still good. Oh, you know what? I am on... Whose comments am I reading? Probably my own comments. I am going to go over to Craft Chameleon. So if you're watching from Craft Chameleon, definitely super excited about the matte Easy Weed that just came out, right? I saw that post today. I think it actually posted yesterday, but still super awesome because I'm a really big fan of matte heat transfer vinyl. And I just want to see if you folks have any questions. Any questions? I am not ignoring you. Bear with me. I feel like I just need to get like a 3-screen setup going just so I can check out comments. Let's see. Oh, my friend Linda, Julie, Angela. I don't know that we're friends, but we could be. Can I focus? Julie, I think I am focused. Okay, still no comments. Or I mean, no, lots of comments. Appreciate that. No questions. So, all right. Well, just a reminder, tomorrow is my Craft Along TV page scheduled time. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock, I will have a pretty awesome project for you because all my projects are awesome, let's face it. Awesome. And then, what else? Did I have something else going on tomorrow? No. Jamie will do her Friday live for the Affinity software at 7 o'clock. So 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Those seem to be pretty good times for us. Oh, and I'm pretty sure, darn it, I didn't look to see who she's going to be with, but I think Jamie has her her chat tomorrow, her little group chat. So if you didn't join us last week for Sublimation, you definitely need to join this week because, Jamie only invites the coolest people to come on these things with her. So, just kind of throwing it out there. I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back. All right. Well, I have taken up 30 minutes of your life that you can never get back. So hopefully you learned some things. And if you are following along on the replay, thank you for joining. And you can still ask your comments or ask your comments. Ask your questions in the comments. And I do try to come back and follow up on the videos just to make sure I didn't miss out on anybody. And all right, that's all I have for tonight. Thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And let's do it again next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. All right. Bye.